start recording. All right, so 3, 2, 1, unpause. Hello and welcome to another Warcraft 3 audio commentary. This is Game 3 for HFWL. This is going to be a best of 3 series between Ted spawning in as the yellow undead on the right side of the upper right side of the map. Going to be going up against Thu spawning in as the purple human up on the upper left side of the map. This is Twisted Meadows. And of course we have a co-commentator today, my special guest, Bidoux Jr. Hello.
Hey, how's everyone doing? If you haven't seen Game 1 and 2, they were great games. Go check them out right now before you start watching Game 3.
Absolutely. They were
That's
amazing.
all I have to say. Let's jump into this.
Absolutely amazing games. And yeah, we can just go ahead and say that, again, if you didn't catch it, HFWL, it is a Chinese tournament. Apparently, we think it just started this year. A nice prize pool, about 3,000 yuan, about $250 USD. So really nice. And we're going to see Ted going with it looks like a Ted Fiends build, pretty standard build on this map. And of course we do have Thu going for a Mountain King first. Whoa, that is completely not standard, because normally you see Archmage coming in so he can creep out this laboratory. I don't think he's going to be able to creep out the laboratory with a Mountain King. I've never seen that done. And that would be really scary. Of course, in this position, this is the best position for Ted to be in if Thu does go for this creep on the laboratory, because it's the fastest he can get his Death Knight over here.
Could we see, I mean, humans that usually go MK first, they usually tend to Expo.
Oh, we'll almost certainly see it. We'll almost certainly see an Expo, and we might even see gargoyles in this map, on this matchup. We might. That would be a treat.
That would be a treat for sure, yeah.
Yeah, because of course, Mountain King first, one of the big counters is getting those gargoyles out, and we see other races do it as well. We'll see Wind Riders, and well, not really any much from Elf, but yeah, we'll see Orc do Wind Riders as well.
He's going straight for that orange camp. He's not going to go for the shop.
No, yeah, I don't think he could creep the laboratory with just a Mountain King. You really need your summons to creep that out, and it's kind of sketchy. And even then, the problem is, it's not that he couldn't actually creep it out. The problem is that he would lose every militia doing so because of the Death Knight.
Yeah.
We might even see some of these militia going down. Probably we'll see maybe even all 3 of these. It depends on how he manages to coil and if he chases him. It looks like he's not going to chase him, and he went for the last one, so he won't be able to get any more, I don't think. He might get one more with the coil, actually, because they no longer are militia. And yeah, one does go down with that peasant. Might even see Skeleton Warriors be able to come in here and pick off this peasant. There's nothing to deter them from that. No Arcane Tower up, and as you can see, no block. So here comes that. Gonna go ahead and see that one going down. So now we do see 3 peasants have died, and that Death Knight is gonna back off. He does not want to risk getting bolt surrounded, something that, of course, Thu's gonna be very good at doing. And of course, you can counter that by having skeletons near your Death Knight. And if you want to have that, all you need to know is that you have a corner here, like all of the 4 corners, that you need to keep one skeleton in one of those positions as close as possible to that Death Knight when you're bolted, and then you can actually prevent being surrounded from the bolt surround. But it's still something that is not easy to pull off, and it's something that if you just don't have the timing perfectly, you will lose your Death Knight, and that's not something you want. So
yep, another peasant gets coiled off. Nice victory for Ted. I mean, another thing that you have to keep in mind as undead is you don't want to feed with your skeletons. You don't want to suicide them almost. You want to micro them. We saw that with Ted. He could have killed that peasant earlier. He's like, you know what, I don't want to feed the MK to level 2. He did regardless, but still, it's not something you want to do, because the human's going to rely on that, especially if he goes MK first, on the MK reaching level 3, because the bolt is just so big. Ted, obviously, he's making a Fiend. He's got his Narub. Just in case there's a little harassment with MK, you can see an Acolyte harassment, especially if he's going Expo or if he's trying to tech and delay the undead, but Ted doing crazy damage on these peasants. There's 2 of them that are really low, and he's still microing out his skellies. Really nice play by Ted.
Yeah, and on top of that, we can also see that the Mountain King just picked up a +9 positive attack. He already had a +6, so that does bring his total to a +15. Wow.
That's pretty good.
That is an insane amount of damage on a Mountain King. You can see him just going to creep out his natural, well, not really his natural, but basically the closest gold mine to his base, and here comes some militia to come in here, and you will be able to try to put up an expansion. And at this point, we're probably going to see a lumber mill being built over here as well, because otherwise the wood pretty crappy. But you can get a lumber mill, and it depends on the position that he does it in. Yeah, he might try to go with a tight base though.
Yeah, and based on this, Ted's not going to be able to do anything right now to this Expo. Thu's probably going to get it up in time, especially with that level 3 MK.
Yeah.
There's little that the DK can do at level 1, so Ted's going to have to creep it out, get level 2, maybe even level 3, and try to make a push tier 2.
Yeah, and he actually just sold both of his claws. Of course, he did go shop first. You always go shop first when you have a Mountain King. And then normally you build towers before you build your expansion. But we'll have to wait and see. And we do see, of course, Fiend play coming in from TED. If he did have gargoyles right now, though, he would pretty much have won the game, I think, because if you had a couple of gargoyles if coming out from dual racks, you would be able to come down here to this expansion directly, and just he would never be able to get a tower up there.
Yeah, especially considering Thu has no towers in his main base either, you'd be able to put up a pretty big harassment.
Yeah, it would be really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and the human putting up towers, that just delays his tech, and then you transition from there from TED. Interesting he's going Fiends. I'm interested to see what he's going to do with it, but you're right, Gargs would have been a much different outcome for TED, I believe.
Yeah, and I believe we saw Thu go ahead and sell his TP, pick up a Staff of Teleportation as well as a Boots of Speed, and it looks like he wants to do some harass now. Of course, going into Thu's base, he can do, or TED's base, he can do quite a bit. There's only an Nerubian tower there. There isn't a Zeppelin, which is really the only thing that would keep those Acolytes alive at this point is the Zeppelin. But we're just going to go ahead and see one Acolyte being picked off. That was really out here. It was the Scout Acolyte, I believe. Just using it to build buildings, so not a huge loss for TED. Of course, he is creeping in the meantime, but he's gonna have to stop creeping and come right back to his base to defend this. Gonna go ahead and lose a ghoul, and it looks like a statue as well as Burrow on the way. Of course, you want Burrow very much against a Mountain King first build, because otherwise you do have to worry about getting bolt surrounded on your Fiends.
Oh, TED coils the ghoul, but it died anyway.
Yeah, that was very, very close coil though. And we do see it looks like the staff coming out, and finally do have that lumber mill being built over here at the expansion, and here comes that town hall being built right here at the expansion as well. Finally, it takes quite some time to get that expansion up sometimes when you go Mountain King first, especially when you lose so many militia and peasants to a harass, as we saw Thu do. But he's made plenty of more peasants. As you can see, he's up to 34 supply, and he can't get a shredder yet because, well, he could. He would have to do some weird pulling out of the camp, but he's just going to rely on just peasants right now to keep his wood count up, and he's going to be just fine, it looks like, for the most part in this early game.
Yeah, and TED, he has a pretty nice army now. He's got the Lich, he's got 4 Fiends. He could take a fight with the MK if he tries to push. He's got Burrow on his Fiends to dodge bolts. I mean, I'm not sure if they would work, you know. You gotta trust TED Micro, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
But he's got the capability of taking a fight with Thu.
Yeah, he also has a potion of mana on that Death Knight. The big issue for TED would be that he's only level 1 on the Death Knight, but it's not going to matter if he comes in here, and it looks like he's going to come in here just as the Scar Tower finishes, but it doesn't have any levels of Masonry upgrade. The Lumber Mill, of course, just now coming up just not too long ago, so not really any time to, and now we can see one of those towers going down as it was being built, but there's only 4 Fiends. It's going to be enough to deal with just Footman army, but when it comes to Footman plus Militia, that might not be enough. We'll have to wait and see.
Yep.
And it looks like we can see over here, TED sticking onto a long tier 2. Doesn't have any upgrades yet for his units. Of course, he's trying to kill these guard towers. And as you can see, that Thu doesn't want to fight him unless he's trying to kill a tower. And that's just really smart play right there. And as you can see, of course, a Frost Armor, not Frost Nova, Frost Armor on the closest Fiend to those Footmen, which is a really good play, just a preemptive Frost Armor. And that does mean Thu's going to have a really hard time getting into positioning. And as you can see, he's going to go ahead and go focus for those peasants instead of the tower itself. Of course, they are trying to repair the tower. One tower up, not really going to do a lot of damage. As you can see, 23 to 27 damage. It attacks very fast, but again, it's not really a huge amount of damage. We do see a bolt on that Lich. Going to go ahead and have that coiled back up to full HP. It does already have a Frost Armor on him. He's going to be just fine. You can see these Footmen going down, being picked off. Thu not in the greatest position here, really.
No, and the fact that he sold his TP makes him very vulnerable. He's got a staff, but when you're dealing with Coil and when the Lich hits level 2 Nova, it's going to be really hard to get out of there. He's going to have to rely on health pots, which takes away from your gold count, and it's going to slow down his tech, so really he's got to watch his MK.
Actually see a surround on the Lich right now. Yeah. So that Lich is going to go down. There's only level 1 Coil. It's not going to be enough to keep him alive, and down goes the Lich. Thu putting himself into a much better position like that, and it looks like now... Dude, really not going to have any trouble now at that point. Without that Lich in the fight, he's just going to be able to start picking off, doing a lot of damage. Of course, again, level 2 on the Death Knight, not level 3.
And still, Ted's in a really good position because the things that are attacking his Fiends are peasants, and they don't fight so good.
Well, yeah, but I would also argue that with that Mountain King right here at this Arcane Vault, he's not going to have too much of an issue. He might, I mean, Ted's not in a terrible spot, but he is in a much worse spot than he was in before. But of course, these towers in the back, they're going to go down. And I guess you're right, though, as you can see, because all of those militia did turn into peasants right there. Now he's in a little bit more of a trouble. I think maybe Thu might have to do something desperate to keep this, to really stop this, to fend this off. Maybe pull all of his peasants from his main base as militia down here. I think that would be enough to actually fight this off. But the issue now is that Ted has actually taken into a pretty tight ball back here at these trees, so there's not going to be a lot of way. Even if you did bring a bunch of militia down here, you either have to choose really, do you attack the fiends with your militia or do you attack the fiends with your footmen? And that's going to be, it looks like, the deciding factor.
Yeah, he's got a really nice concave right here against the trees. You can't get surrounded. You can only really attack one thing at a time. He's going to go for the DK. Smart move.
Yeah.
Get the DK out, he TP's out. But yeah, I mean, oh, look at that. Ted's going to sneak right in there, and he's going to have volleys like no tomorrow. And Bidoux doesn't have any towers. He has 3 footmen, and now the Lich is coming into play. Frost Nova, all those things, so you're going to get slowed. And Ted's in a really good position.
Yeah,
There's nothing Bidoux can really do.
I think Ted is going to be able to take this expansion out no matter what at this point. If Bidoux had more mana on that Mountain King when he killed the Lich,
oh wow,
GG. There's a good game.
And there was the vulnerability of the MK. He got himself caught, and you can't staff out when there's that much of a nuke on you.
Yeah, I think a lot of that came down to, though, was Ted's early game harass, and it delayed that expansion so much. Those towers took so long to go up. Originally, he had to put up the lumber mill first. He didn't have the wood for the towers, and he had to build more peasants to actually start getting wood so he could actually start to have enough wood to start upgrading towers, and that was a big deal. But
yeah, and I'm so glad that Ted's back playing. He's looking really good.
Yeah, absolutely,
really good, and I hope he plays more games.
Oh yeah,
and I hope we get to cover more of them.
Yeah, absolutely, because Ted is such a fun player to recover, especially now against his Orc. His Orc has been one of the funnest Undead vs. Orcs to watch for such a long time. He's been doing so many different strategies and using Banshees in such creative ways. And now with this Banshee Tier 2 push, absolutely amazing. And if you didn't see that, you want to check out Game 1, because he does play, Bidoux does play Orc in Game 1. So if you're tired of Undead vs. Human, and I know if you are, I'm sorry. But if you want to see Undead vs. Orc, then Game 1 is the game to see. And of course, if you missed Game 2, you can click right here. So that's Game 3. And thanks, a big special thanks to Bidoux for co-casting with me. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bidoux.
Man, I love it. No problem. Anytime.
And we're definitely going to be live on Saturday.
And actually, guys, if you can give us some feedback, if you guys like our co-casting, if you want to see something different, I'm always down to change my casting. I don't consider myself elite caster, so I'm still new at the game. But if you guys can give me any feedback, I'll definitely take it into account. I'll read them all. And thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, guys, feel free to leave any comments, any kind of feedback. I respond to most feedback. I don't respond to negative feedback. I'll be honest, that's true. I don't respond to it. When I say negative, I don't mean like, oh, your casting is this or this. Like problems, I respond to problems. I don't respond to, like, you've seen the troll comments. I'm not going to comment on them now. But yeah, but I definitely always appreciate feedback as well. So feel free to leave any kind of feedback. We will read it. And I know that I haven't been very active in replying to a lot of comments recently. I've been kind of swamped, but I have read every single one of them, rest assured. And I respond to almost every single private message that's in my way. So if you guys would like to do that as well. And of course, if you want to send me anything privately about Bidoux, we'll keep it between me and you.
Yeah, man. I don't have to know that you guys hate me. If you guys secretly hate me, that's cool. Just I hope you don't. And yeah, we're gonna try to have more co-casts. I definitely like casting with Purebe. He's an amazing dude. He puts out great content.
Aww.
And
you make me blush.
So yeah, we'll definitely have more coverage for you guys. Thanks for hearing me out.
All right, thanks again. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.